Hey guys, it's Lurd. Welcome to Lurd Investigates, where we investigate and break down crimes, mysteries, conspiracies, and well, anything we want really. Today we're going to be talking about the murder of Deborah Meyer, a mom, friend, beloved daughter who was brutally murdered on Valentine's Day over literally the dumbest thing. One of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Before we get into it, go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. Give the video a like and a thumbs up, and be sure to let me know what you think about this case in the comment section below. Okay, so let's get into it. Deborah Meyer was 36 years old, a beloved wife, daughter, friend, and mom. Deborah was a nurse of 15 years. She worked at a hospital called Wellstone Regional Hospital, and she was recently promoted to nurse manager. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that position, but nurse managers are like over the charge nurse. So that's a pretty important position to be in, especially for somebody so young. She lived in Jefferson, Indiana, with her husband Taylor and their 3 young children, and their family dog. Deborah's Instagram description said loving life, and you could tell from her photos of her with her sweet children, which I will not show today due to their privacy, but she truly did seem to really love life with them and with her family. Deborah was still a young woman in her prime. She was in her 30s, and she was working in her field and taking care of her family, and she still had so much life ahead of her. And from the outside, everything looked like they were a happy family. On the inside, Deborah and Taylor were having relationship issues. And that's, I mean, like most couples do. So it seems like no big deal, right? Well, Taylor thought that Deborah was having an affair and not just cheating on him like here and there, but having an actual like relationship, a steady boyfriend outside of their marriage. The pair had a therapy couple session scheduled on February 17th. But what happened to her? Let's get into it. The evening of February 14th, 2025, Valentine's Day, Deborah would be brutally murdered in her home while her children were in the home. It was Valentine's Day. Taylor was determined to do something nice for his wife. He was suspicious that she was having an external relationship. You know, maybe he thought this display of his love or something was going to help the relationship. And based on the evidence that I see, Taylor had not been the best husband. According to Newsweek, Taylor spent a lot of time away from the kids and his wife to play video games. In 2023, Taylor also was allegedly receiving and sending nudes to various women, apparently paying for them. Deborah had written an email to him in 2023 that says, quote, "I very much do care about you sending and receiving nudes from people that you have been with before and have connection with, and I also don't want to see you paying for it. I'm supposed to be your wife, your partner, raising children with you, co-parenting. I get that you have hobbies and want some time to yourself, but I also feel that should be limited to a certain time of day and not just immediately when you get home, shower, and go play video games and ignore your family that has missed you all day. I'm a single mom, so I can understand the stress and the heartbreak that Deborah is going through. This situation sounds very similar to my own. And as we all know, being a single mom is actually easier than being a married single mom because I don't have to clean up after a husband. I don't have to chase them to be a parent. I don't have to deal with them in my home. And so while there's pros and cons to this, you know, like having to share the financial load versus not sharing the financial load, it's still easier at the end of the day to just focus on your children and not a man baby who's going to whine about getting attention, not getting attention, and playing video games all the time. So that's my opinion on that. So going back to the night of Valentine's Day, Taylor decided to buy a new dress for Deborah, um, which I don't know how I feel about buying somebody a dress like to put on and have a date. I don't think I like it, but some women like it. I wouldn't be a super fan of that. But he got takeout. He decorated with like Parisian themed everything. He even had the kids pitch in on drawing some of the Eiffel Towers and things like that. I guess they had a date because it says here in the article that I was reading that Taylor also gave Deborah a card with a handwritten message inside, and they danced to their wedding song. So to be honest, it sounds kind of cringe, um, but I don't know. I wasn't there. So according to Taylor, she didn't quote give a shit. He told cops that it was the hardest he's ever tried in a relationship. Okay. That's not something to brag about, but okay. Hardest time he's ever tried in a relationship. And after that evening, Deborah left home for 20 minutes. Taylor was in a rage. He thought Deborah was going to meet up with her boyfriend, um, who he allegedly had thought was one of her coworkers. So Deborah returned. The night got violent. He snatched the phone out of her hand, and then they struggled over it. And Deborah had been reported saying to him, "What are you going to do? Kill me and leave our children without parents?" At some point, she was screaming for the kids. He had stated, to her, back to her, that she was forcing him to do this. She left him no choice. Allegedly, he grabbed the wine bottle, hit her over the head several times until she lost consciousness. And then after that, he proceeded to go in the kitchen, grab a big knife, and stab her with it. Not once, not twice, but allegedly 40 times. After Deborah was stabbed, Taylor decided to take a picture, unhinged, completely unhinged, and send it to the guy he thought was her boyfriend and say that it was his fault. I mean, I can't imagine how traumatic that must be. There's no confirmation, though, if Deborah was having an affair or not. It does go without saying, even if you're having an affair, you don't deserve to be killed. So obviously, this marriage was not a picnic, and Taylor, was really unhinged and probably had been that unhinged for a while, because in my experience and in my opinion, when people hide like that, like they go to work and then they come home and they play video games and they don't interact with their family, they're not normal people. They are unwell people, and they are devolving people, and they're people that aren't getting help, and trying to run from their problems. So surprisingly, Taylor has pleaded not guilty to the charge of this murder, and he's going to be held until July, until his court date in jail. So that's insane. The hospital where Deborah worked issued a statement. Wellstone Regional Hospital says, "It is with deep sadness that the Wellstone team acknowledges the passing of our own Deborah Meyer. Deb was a nurse manager who dedicated 15 years of serving our patients. She will be greatly missed by all who knew her." It's just so sad. Someone named Cheyenne Hester posted this publicly. Seems like she was a friend of Deborah, and she says, "My heart is shattered. Deborah Meyer, you were an incredible mother, nurse, and friend. I knew when I was working with you," coworker, "I knew when I was working with you that it would be a good day with lots of laughs. You surely didn't deserve what that piece of shit did to you." Agreed. "And your babies, oh, your babies. They will know how much their mama loved and cared for them. You rest easy, girl, until we meet again." Yeah, I just feel so terrible for the children. Um, I honestly can't believe when people are this selfish. And even if you were like, I mean, obviously he just is not right and had some issues. Because no parent in their right mind, no matter how angry they are at the other parent, would do something like this to their children. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of my co-parent, but I want him to be okay, and I want him to continue to be a dad to my daughter. And I would never, ever imagine something this extreme to do just because you're mad at, you know, whatever. Wow. Deborah's obituary was beautiful. I'll read it. Um, Deborah Mary Meyer North is her maiden name. Departed for her journey to the great unknown on February 14th, 2025. Cherishing her memory from Earth are her three beautiful children. I'm not going to say their names. Diana Smiley Pierce and David North roamed the earth forever, saddened by the loss of their daughter, destined to remind everyone of her greatness. It goes on to talk about how she has siblings and cousins, uncles, aunts, all who are going to miss her very much. Deborah Meyer was born on March 13th, 1988. She was fierce, unforgettable presence, leaving a lasting impression of her contagious laughter, bright smile, limitless love, and unwavering loyalty. She was strong-willed, full of life, unapologetically herself. Deborah found joy in being outdoors, loved traveling and seeing the world, whether soaking up the sun by the pool, skiing in the mountains, or exploring nature trails. On her journey through life, Deborah graduated from Jefferson High School, class of 2006, continuing to accomplish her dreams of becoming a nurse. Deborah attended Indiana State University, Southeast, University of Louisville, and Ivy Tech, attaining her Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. Dedicating her life to caring for others, Deborah was recognized with the Daisy Award and promoted to nurse manager at Wellstone Regional Hospital in her 15 years of service. She had a gift for caring for others, bringing both skill and compassion to her patients. And if I could just interject here, anybody who has spent a lot of time in the hospital, I've had 4 different surgeries in my lifetime. I have 2 different chronic illnesses. I have had a lot of medical experiences, most of them terrifying and bad. And having a good nurse is everything because they help manage what's going on with the doctors, no matter how like flaky and how terrible their bedside manner is. The nurse always makes up for it, and is the day to day just making sure you need anything, like if it's Jello or a blanket or and then your fluids and your meds and all that stuff. A good nurse makes a huge difference. A huge difference. They say that Deborah wanted to be a mother with her same determination that she had for other things, and she welcomed her first child in 2020, her second child in 2022, and her third child in 2023. Her devotion to her children was unquestionable, unconditional, showering them with love, attention, guidance as she began molding tiny, perfect humans. Certainly heartbroken that she's no longer here to continue her role as a mother, we know Deb continues to watch from a higher viewpoint and will definitely haunt anyone who causes them harm. I just feel so terrible for this woman and the family and the children. I mean, the children really are where my soft spot is, but it's all of these people who loved her. And Deborah's life was cut short over some man's frustration that she didn't like his Paris themed Valentine's Day. Go fuck yourself. Okay? Wow. I mean, just really. And I mean, she seemed like a really amazing mom and woman, just a really amazing person. And I have been thinking about this, and I do think that she was dealing with a lot more from Taylor than she let on. The family hasn't really talked, so it's possible that like her siblings know a lot more of what was going on, and that will maybe come out in court. Um, but I'm just really, I've thought about it, and I really think that behavior like this sort of escalates over time. It's like, and if we look back in 2023, I'm getting chills. In 2023, if we look back on this, you know, Taylor was playing a lot of video games, ignoring the family, um, paying for nudes, sending nudes. Like it sounds to me like he was a little bit unhinged, was like escalating over time. And I think this brings up a really good discussion about domestic violence because a lot of the time when we think about domestic violence, we think about physical violence and how you have to leave your abuser if they're physically violent because they could end up murdering you, like snapping and killing you, or killing your kids, or killing all of you. It's like, but this situation, I haven't seen evidence yet of Taylor being physically abusive to her. I could see him having like little baby boy fits, like punching a wall, or whatever. But we don't know if he was like hitting her or physically hurting her. It sounds like he was withdrawing, and she was dealing with a lot of emotional abuse from him. But emotional abuse and the systemic anger that men have towards women really can add up into scenarios like this. He was clearly had expectations, and it was like, how dare you not like this thing? This is the hardest I've tried ever in our marriage. Like, I'm sorry. She clearly has been trying. She's been right. She wrote to you a few years ago. She told you that she wanted to see more of you. She didn't want to raise her kids alone. If she had to raise her kids alone, just tell me and I'm going to go. It's very frustrating to see this escalate into this situation. Um, and so I think, Deborah did nothing wrong. Let me make this completely crystal clear. She did nothing wrong. She was working, she was taking care of her kids. She was obviously dealing with this husband who didn't want to be a dad and was withdrawn and emotionally abusive, allegedly. And I just think that it opens up the conversation to say, if somebody's emotionally abusive, maybe I should leave because it's a sign for something else that I don't know what to I don't know what to expect. Maybe they could. Um, and she obviously was still caring about her marriage, at least in 2023. Maybe she was over it in 2025. She wanted to leave. She wanted to quit. She was still trying to figure out like what it is that she was doing, but, Taylor never gave her that option to figure it out. He just stole her life. And he's, in my opinion, he's a monster and has a very sick mindset. And as of 6 or 7 days ago, the news was reporting that he was going through a mental health evaluation. So I think it'll be interesting to see what those results are. Typically, in all of these proceedings, they're just trying to figure out if somebody is mentally competent or not, like depression, anxiety, PTSD. None of those are reasons to kill someone. So it's like, did basically, were you in your mind enough to understand that you were killing someone and you understood the consequences? That's really what it is. So, anyway, guys, that's the case as it stands. If I get, if I get some comments and some engagement on this video, I'll do some updates and stuff with the court date and everything like that happening, and maybe we'll find out some more information. I just want to send Deborah's family and her children lots of love and light. I'm sure they desperately need it right now. It's just such a tragedy. I just cannot believe someone as stupid as Taylor. How did he even land her in the first place, honestly? And secondly, took her life, allegedly. It's just, what do you guys think? Are you as shocked as I am to see it escalate in this way? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button because there's a lot more coming that we're going to be talking about. If you have any case requests, let me know. In the meantime, thank you for watching Laird Investigates, and we will see you on the next one. Bye!